Hi guys, it's Cian and Teal, and welcome back to Comfort Table. This is episode two.
Two.
Two,
If
yeah.
you
Because
count
if you
the
don't count the
first.
intro as
Yeah.
okay lah, I don't know. This is the second content episode. Um, so today we're gonna talk a bit about hair. If you notice, I just got a haircut. Actually, it's not really just. We wanted to film this earlier, but we had some issues. Anyway, so I got a haircut in between the videos, and yeah, let's talk a bit about hair and specifically, I guess, women's hair. I think is the more interesting part of it.
Yeah, I also cut my hair about 1 month ago. Usually I get my hair cut like once a year, which is a bit too infrequent, as my hairstylist tells me. How often do you cut your hair?
I cut it about. So ideally, I should go back because I have a short hairstyle, right? I should go back about 1.5 months to 2 months max. I tend to go back about like maybe 2 to 3 months, and then they'll be like, I mean, they can't. Okay, so maybe I should start off by saying I usually go to like those 10-minute hair cutting kind of shop where they charge you like maybe $10 to $12, and then Teal goes to.
Yeah, so I go to like a regular salon, and then each time I go, usually I get like a cut and a color, or a cut and a treatment or something like that, and it costs like about $200.
Yeah, so we have quite different habits lah for hair cutting. Uh, yeah, so my primary reason why I chose this kind, besides the fact that it's cheap, is also just I don't like to be pestered by the hairdressers for other add-ons. Like I just want to get a haircut and get my way out of the place. But I think it's quite different to do it at a salon. Like it's a bit more.
Yeah, so you end up building a relationship with your hairdresser. So when I first started getting like more expensive haircuts, I went around to different salons,
To like
different
try.
yeah, to get a feel and to see if I like how they cut my hair. And I eventually found this place, and I've been going to this place and this hairdresser for I think at least the past like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I think since uni,
Since
right?
yeah,
Quite early in uni.
yeah, and I'm a bit sad because the next time I'm stated to get a haircut, my regular hairdresser is actually going on maternity leave, and she told me in advance about that as well because she knew how frequently I would visit her, and then she said like, "Oh, don't worry, all the other hairdressers here are equally good. You're in good hands."
So you've been seeing the same hairdresser like
Yes.
about yearly for like the last 4 years, or like sometimes more frequent than yearly.
Yeah, yeah.
So it must be quite strange if somebody else cut your hair the next time you go.
Yeah, so I don't know what's gonna happen the next time I go. But yeah, I think it's pretty nice to be able to build a relationship with a hairstylist, and then she or he, they understand what kind of style you like, or what kind of customer you are. Do you want to like make a lot of small talk, or just like sit there and let them cut your hair?
So which one are you?
Just sit there and cut my hair.
How long does one session usually take? Like from the do they start by washing your hair?
Yeah. Yeah, so there's like a consultation where they ask you
Yeah.
also how would you like to cut it today? Do you want to do
Yeah.
like color, or advise you on what treatment package there is, and then after
Are
that
there
they
like pictures or what?
yeah, and then they start by like rough wait, do they wash your hair first? Yeah, I think they wash your hair first, and then they just like roughly cut it to length, or they roughly cut it to length first and then wash it. I can't remember which way it is, but
Yeah.
then if you're doing color, then they'll put in like bleach or whatever, then they just do the treatment. And after the treatment or the coloring, then they, finish up, touch up the cut.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
They
I
blow
didn't
dry
know
and
it was
touch up
like
the cut.
cut, then dye or treatment, and then cut.
Yeah, because it doesn't make sense to waste the chemicals like the coloring or the dye or the bleach or the treatment or whatever
Yeah.
on the length that you're gonna cut off, right? So they
True.
just cut it off roughly.
No, I mean, like, I would have
Yeah.
thought that maybe they didn't like do a final trim at the end, for example. Like maybe it's like, oh, you cut finish and you just dye. without like cutting
Nah,
again.
because
Yeah,
like after your hair goes through certain like chemical treatments, I guess it changes a bit, so they need to
that makes
refine it
sense. That
after
makes
that.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the reason why I am willing to pay so much to just like sit there and let them cut my hair, is because I view like a haircut as sort of part of your personal image, and it is worth it to just get a good haircut and then you look kind of professional every day without having to do much styling.
Right.
So it's in the long run, it's a lot more convenient to just like spend a one-off
It's like an
on a haircut. Yeah.
investment for your time.
Yeah. So you just sit there for 2 hours, and then for the rest of the year you can just like spend 5 minutes every day instead of, having to spend like 15 minutes blowing, straightening, I don't know. Yeah.
I guess. Yeah. I think it may also depends on the length of hair that you keep and like maybe your hair texture and all that. Like I think your hair is probably a bit more difficult to tend to than
Yeah.
mine is, like texture wise. I have like relatively easier to maintain hair except for the fact that it's very thick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I have very thick and frizzy hair, and I used to rebond it because that was the only way it would keep any shape.
So like I think the difference so I think like a lot of actually no I don't really know what guys usually do to cut their hair, but I know like for women in Singapore it's quite common to have like the cheaper option. In some countries like when you're in Japan it was not super common.
Yeah, I couldn't find any cheap like $10 cuts
Yeah.
or like $20
Like it was
cuts
not
in
an option.
Japan.
It's
Yeah.
not whether you want to or you don't. Like in Singapore, like whatever I use is quite common to find. You can also find cheaper ones in like salons in neighborhood areas, but it's a bit like those are the places where they tend to be like $4 haircut, but then you go in and then they try to sell you other things while they're cutting your hair. So I prefer not to go there because it's like it's not worth the mental stress of trying to reject them whatever they're trying to sell you the whole time while they're cutting
Speaking
your
of
hair.
neighborhood shops, I used to get my hair cut at a neighborhood barber for like, I think at least until I entered high school, and it was like $4 or $5 a cut. Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
barber shop, not a hairdresser shop.
So it was like meant for guys.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't really know what's the difference like between like a barber shop and like a salon or things like that. But like,
Other than the target
I mean, because
clientele,
like I
guess,
feel
I
like
don't
when you
know.
go in, you get your hair cut. It's like most of them are like not. Most of the people doing their haircut are like like they'll just do whatever they do.
Yeah.
They don't really care like whether you are like the correct client.
Yeah, as long as you're a paying customer, they just cut your hair, right? I mean,
Yeah,
hair,
I don't think
hair
it's
is
like-
hair, right? It's not.
I don't think it's
as
like
if it's
super,
different. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean for us at least, I mean we're not like religious or anything. Like ladies with hijab have to go to a special shop. But other than that, I don't. I think the rest of us just whatever floats your boat. But I think one thing that I wanted to talk about is I've dyed my hair before, but I've never done it at a salon. Like yeah, if you recall back in uni, I used to bleach my hair by myself, which is like it's always not even because if you do it yourself, it's quite difficult. And then I'll used to put like unnatural colors. Like I tried blue, which didn't quite turn out well. I think the one that stuck around the most was like green. We laugh because like
Yeah.
anyway, it's my profile picture as well somewhere. So
When we went on our grad trip,
Yeah,
Kian
I
had
had-
green
I
hair.
had green hair.
And so when we met up at the airport, my parents saw Kian with green hair. And so till this day, they remember Kian as like the green hair person,
yeah, so
the green hair friend.
yeah, so yeah, sadly I can't have green hair now. So actually another thing I wanted to talk about hair besides haircut. So like I think the price of women's haircut in Singapore is not that big of I would say generally it's not that big of a deal compared to like maybe some other countries that I've seen some people mention. Because there's always the option of like cheaper places and like with those quick hairdresser shops they don't offer any like hair washing service or any other treatments or whatever, so they can't really sell you those when they don't offer it, right? But of course I also find that in general like they don't sell as much weird stuff to like my brother or my father when they go to shops like those like $4 or $5 haircut shops where sometimes they'll try and sell you things. They don't do that to like my dad or my brother, so I feel like there's a bit of like difference, but it's maybe not as bad as like some other videos that I've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would say like in general, would you say that it's like common for people to assume that women will spend more money on hair than men lah?
I do think it is pretty common, like among my circle of friends, the guys generally don't spend as much on their hair in terms of like hair products or the price of their haircut. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's my experience as well. And like I think it's also less common to have like for guys to dye their hair as often. Especially I think when you're working. It's quite common to see a lot of women with brown hair, like in offices.
But practically speaking, it's also not that worth it for guys to dye their hair because if it's so short, it
grows out
just
really
grows out
fast.
straight away, and then you cut off, and then
Yeah,
you
yeah,
have to
that's
dye it
true.
again, and it's
That's
just
true.
one thing that does happen though is that I know some places that cut men's hair, like they do have packages.
Like-
So if you buy like a package of like 10 cuts, then the overall price is a bit
Oh.
cheaper or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some of the neighborhood shops try to sell you those kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
But
But in terms of, I think your point was like actual products like shampoo or treatment or
just like I don't know, just like how you take care of your hair in general. I think haircut is maybe like one of the more obvious ones because like I think
everybody needs to cut their hair
yeah,
at some
and like
point.
and like sometimes you see the prices that they charge outside hair salons is like this much for a cut, but it's like sometimes they'll specify like long hair, medium length hair
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
So it depends on how long your hair is. And generally speaking, if you're a guy, you have shorter hair. At least like when you're a working adult, that's the case lah. So it's like it feels a bit discriminatory, but on the other hand, it's a
Nothing
bit
stops
like,
women from having short hair, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
technically speaking.
So
But
Kian, you used to have long hair, and then you decided to go short. I used to have short, then it grew out, and then it went back short.
So
Yeah.
I think I don't know what my hair length was when I first met you, but like I have short hair and long hair on and off because well like sometimes I just like to change things up. So back in secondary school it was because I had short hair in secondary school because my school had the rule that you have to tie plaits if you have long hair, so I didn't want to do that. It was a hassle lah, so I had short hair. Then in I think somewhere during uni I had long hair. Towards the end of like secondary school I had long hair and then like I cut it short again in JC and then like somewhere in uni I had long hair. So mostly it was just like to try it, but with how thick my hair is and with how intolerant of heat I am, it is not very useful for me to have not say useful lah, but it doesn't really make much sense because I usually keep it tied up. So it's kind of like I don't get to like so-called show it off. Like there's no point in having the long hair because I always just keep it tied up. And my hair is too thick for it to stay in a ponytail comfortably, so it tends to just sag down towards the bottom. So it doesn't look that great. And yeah, I think it's just more convenient for me to have short hair. Yeah, and then like I would also try and experiment. Besides with the hair length, last time I used to try to cut different styles of hair. So I used to have like I don't know. I don't know whether does it count as anime. I tried to have like anime guys' hair before lah, but it
Like
doesn't.
with the M fringe.
Not to that extent, because like schools back in secondary schools, there's a lot of rules. But I tried to have those kind of hair, and then currently my hair looks like this, which is like sort of I guess androgynous-ish, like because with how guys tend to leave their hair a bit longer nowadays, especially like with K-pop idols and K-pop K-drama actors and things like that. Yeah, I think this is like somewhere in between. Yeah, but one thing I kind of miss is dyeing my hair, although I feel like it's a lot of hassle nowadays to have to bleach or maintain the color. Because I remember that I went to a lot of trouble to try to maintain the color so that it doesn't fade out very fast.
Yeah, that's also because you always went for very
Like,
bright colors
yes.
that wash out very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because usually when I dye my hair, I go for more like browns. More, I mean, natural, but not really that natural kind of colors. And
It's like
it stains a bit
acceptable at
longer.
like
Yeah.
corporate.
Yeah, like work appropriate colors. In
Yeah, I
short,
tend to
yeah.
go. I've only ever dyed my hair brown once, and that was like just before I started work because I had green hair just before I started work.
Yeah, I think the most adventurous I was at work was like I had like dark purple on the inside, but then
Right.
on the
Remember that, I
outside it
remember
was
that, I
kind of
remember
like
that.
a grayish
The purple
brown.
was quite
Yeah,
nice.
yeah,
It faded out to quite a light color towards the
yeah,
end, but because it's like under lights, right? It wasn't
yeah.
very
It was on
obvious.
the inside layer.
Yeah, I didn't really try anything after I started work. Just felt like it was a bit like too much effort. Like I can't even like
Yeah,
handle my normal stuff, let
yeah.
alone my
Like,
hair.
all I want to do after work is just sleep and
Yeah. Okay, I guess that's like our chat about hair today. It's a bit all over the place, but let us know what you think. I don't know whether hair is like I don't know whether it's very gendered in other countries. But this is kind of like our experience of it. We can always talk more about it, but we want to try and keep our videos a bit shorter.
yeah.
So we're just gonna end it here today. Okay, that's all for this video today.
See you next time.
Oh, I forgot the intro.